New characters were finally introduced to Gears 5 this week, so let's talk about that. The community has been screaming at the coalition to add new characters since the release about a month and a half ago. And a lot of the people playing this game kind of came to a consensus that it was lacking in content, at least when it came to character customization, and I would agree with that. The beginning roster, the base vanilla Gears 5 roster, was actually pretty bad. Not a lot of characters compared to previous Gears games. And what made it worse is that not only was there a very small limited roster and characters, but you couldn't really unlock new characters. In previous Gears games, I think you started off with like even less characters than we actually start off with in Gears 5. But at least in Gears 4 and Gears 3, you had the option to unlock new characters as you played. So that's kind of like why people were upset with the way Gears 5 introduced adding new characters. So, how many characters did we get with the latest update this week? We got four, or I guess technically five. One of them kind of comes with like an extra skin, male and female character. And so we got COG Gears, Deebees for the heroes side, or when you're playing as the COGs. And we got the Warden and General RAAM in the villain side, so when you're playing as the Swarm slash Locust. Personally, the Swarm characters are way better than the hero characters in my opinion. General RAAM and the Warden look way better than the DB and the COG gear. But I personally bought the COG gear. As you can see from the gameplay, I'm playing as the COG gear in Escape, and the reason I bought the COG gear is because, in my opinion, he had the most content for like its price. So they all cost 500 iron. I'll get to the prices and how to unlock them in a second. But here's why I unlocked the COG gear myself. You get an extra skin, so you technically get two characters. You get the male and female version. You can play him or her in Escape and in Horde and in multiplayer. The DB you could also play in Escape and Horde, but you don't get an extra skin. And the Swarm characters, you can only play them in multiplayer. So in my opinion, I thought that at least with the COG gear, I could get the most like gameplay out of him. So if you have a spare 500 iron and don't want to grind for one of the characters to unlock them, I personally would recommend that you at least buy the COG gear. And if you play like Horde and Escape, he's actually a really good support character. He has a lot of healing abilities, and a lot of his cards revolve around like taking less damage and making sure that his team is healed up. So yeah, I would recommend getting the COD character. So now let's get into how you actually unlock these characters without paying any money. So I'll start off by saying that through Game Pass and the Ultimate Edition and some challenges that were introduced in Gears 4 that unlocked stuff for you in Gears 5, I was able to get quite a lot of free iron, which is the currency that costs actual money. And each character, if you don't want to grind for them, they each cost 500 iron, or the equivalent of $5. So I personally had about 680 iron left from all the events that have happened, and that's why I bought the COG gear. Or I probably wouldn't even be playing him right now if I didn't have that spare 500 iron in my account. So how do you unlock them if you don't have 500 iron? Well, first you have to buy a totem, and a totem costs 100 scrap. 100 scrap, in my opinion, is actually relatively cheap. You get that rather easily just from playing the game and playing Horde and Escape and just getting duplicate cards. So 100 scrap for a totem, in my opinion, should be no problem. Once you've bought a totem, you actually have to equip it. And each totem has 5 challenges attached to it. Well, technically it has 6, but the first challenge only requires you to buy the totem, so that one's kind of given to you right away. So you got 5 challenges to do before you can actually unlock the character. All the characters, they have pretty similar challenges. They differentiate when it comes to certain like aspects of it, but for the most part, it's going to be beating a certain amount of waves in Horde, escaping a certain amount of escapes or hives, I guess. Getting 60,000 XP, I think that one is the same for every single character. Getting 30 eliminations as a specific side. Either get 30 eliminations while playing as a Swarm character if you're trying to unlock General RAAM or the Warden. or 30 executions as the COGs if you're trying to unlock the Deebees or the COG heroes. And I think the last type of challenge is just win a certain amount of versus games, or I think it's play a certain amount of versus games. So relatively, all the challenges, in my opinion, not too difficult, a little bit grindy. The only one that I think is going to take extremely long is the 60,000 XP. And I think they did this because the Coalition wants to sell more boosters. The majority of players right now that are playing Gears 5 probably already have a bunch of boosters if they started playing like on day 1 and played Gears 4, because they gave you a bunch of like XP boosters for free. So I think that's the only one that's going to take a lot of grinding. And at least for me, I think I have like 17 days of boosters left, and I'm going to try to unlock most of the characters by then. And these totems are the reason that the community is a little bit upset, because you have to grind out quite a bit before you can get a character. I myself have kind of like stopped going as hard in Gears 5. I've gotten busy with a lot of stuff, so I don't have a lot of time to play Gears 5 anymore. But if I wanted to, I could probably set aside like an entire evening and maybe unlock one of the characters. I've been playing on and off for the last couple days, and I think I'm like halfway through getting RAAM, and that's only one character that I've been focusing on, because after RAAM I'm probably going to try to get the Warden. Don't really care about the Deebee. I didn't care for Deebees in Gears 4, and I certainly don't care about Deebees in Gears 5. In my opinion, that's the worst character they could have introduced as like the first batch of DLC characters. People were really wanting Carmine. The COG Gear I can kind of understand. He's like a classic, pretty generic character. But the Swarm got the Warden and General RAAM, so I'm kind of disappointed that the COG side didn't get like main characters, or like Baird or Cole. People were wanting Carmine, and I honestly don't know why they didn't go with Carmine. Alright, I'm rambling on now, so final thoughts. Kind of scummy to make each character cost $5, seeing as previous games let you unlock characters for free, so that sucks. Making them cost 100 scrap to unlock initial totem, not a big deal. 100 scrap is relatively cheap. Making them grindy, that part sucks. Again, 60,000 XP, probably the longest one that's going to take to unlock the character. If you're looking to start off with one of the characters and already have 500 iron and don't mind spending it, I'd recommend getting the COG gear. Best bang for your buck. You get 2 characters, male and female COG. You can play them in Escape, you can play them as in Horde, and they are the second support character, the first one being Jack. So those are my thoughts. But other than that, let me know what y'all think about the totems. Let me know if y'all already bought one of the characters or unlocked them. Which side do you like better? The heroes that got introduced, or the Swarm / Locust that got introduced? But let me know all that in the comments below. If you enjoyed my content, please leave a like, subscribe, and I hope you'll have a good one. Catch y'all next time.